find opportunities in e-opportunities. You can also see the transparency of how to do the procedures of doing business. It's in e-regulations. We have now almost 260 procedures that you can just click and you're able to see what needs to be done. And then you don't have to think that you must pay a bribe or you must really go up and down to do it. You are empowered through this platform. Next. Yeah, if you don't believe me, what I'm saying, you can actually see some of the other people who have commented in recent times about doing business in Kenya. You all know Stephen Hayes from a corporate council in Africa in the US. Then, you know, Richard Quest of CNN was in Kenya, I think was it towards the end of 2019 or early last year, before COVID. And he enjoyed Nyama Choma in a big way. So these are some of the comments. At least you can see independent views of what it is doing business here. Finally, if you are thinking about investment, make it Kenya. As I said, our promise is to treat you as queen and king. When you are investing here, we are going to roll out the red carpet and then give you an experience that you will not forget. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana na mnakaribishwa tena.
Let us applaud Daktari with a lot of hard clap. Let's give him a clap. Thanks, gentlemen. On behalf of the Kenya Investment Authority, he has given us well-elucidated thoughts, and I'm double sure as the discussant comes on stage and as he opens the plenary, we'll be able to discuss what we've been taken through. Nikubalie ni watambue mawaziri wetu kutoka Jamhuri ya Kenya ambao wamejiunga nasi. Nitambue uwepo wa waziri wetu wa biashara, Mheshimiwa Betty Maina, naomba tuwapungie mkono waziri. Waziri Betty Maina, naomba tuwapungie mkono. Asante. Tumkaribishe waziri wetu wa mauzo na biashara. Tuko na waziri wetu wa labor, Mheshimiwa Simon Chalugui. Asante sana waziri. Waziri wetu wa kilimo, Mheshimiwa Peter Munya. Asante sana waziri. Na waziri wetu wa fedha na mipango ya kitaifa ya kiuchumi, Mheshimiwa Ekuru Yatani. Asante sana waziri. Vile vile waziri wetu wa masuala ya nje, Balozi Rachel Omamo, yuko kule nje akihakikisha kwamba kila kitu kiko salama. Allow me to invite our discussant, Ms. Phyllis Wakiaga, the CEO, Kenya Association of Manufacturers. You have 5 minutes, kindly to take us through and elucidate more on what Daktari has shared with us. Karibu.
Thank you very much. When I was here before, the cabinet secretaries hadn't all joined us, so allow me to recognize the presence of the cabinet secretaries from Kenya and those from Tanzania who may have joined us after I was up here. I also want to appreciate Dr. Ikiara for his good presentation that was really showcasing the opportunities that exist within Kenya, and I'm sure we are going to get the same from the United Republic of Tanzania. I just want to mention 2 specific opportunities before I go into my remarks. I see a big opportunity in industrialization within the region. If you look at the industrialization strategy at ESC, the ambition of the strategy by 2030 is to see industry or manufacturing contribute to 30% of the GDP of the East African community countries. I also see a big opportunity in the issues of trade. If you look at the trade within the region, we are below 20%. That means we have over 80% in terms of an opportunity to take advantage of. And based on the strong bilateral ties, the strong social-cultural ties that we have between our 2 countries, there's a lot of room for us to take advantage of those opportunities. And the COVID-19 pandemic, in my view, has also demonstrated to us the need and the importance of growing strong local supply chains within our regions. So that's something I think that should really be the background as we have this discussion today. How do we deal with any challenges and impediments that prevent us from taking advantage of these opportunities? Our countries are both endowed with a lot of resources, and there's the ability for us to capitalize on all of them. We have the capability to also grow these opportunities into the AFCTA. But what holds us back, I think, is some of the challenges we have in terms of the non-tariff barriers and the technical barriers to trade that affect us within the region. I'll highlight some of them just to speak about just examples of some of the challenges we have. We have challenges around the discriminatory treatment of certain products, where we have imposition of excise duties on products like Kenyan manufactured cigarettes. We have things like our motor vehicles, which are sometimes unable to access the regional market, and that, I think, becomes a challenge for both trade and investment within the region. There are also issues around import charges on animal and animal products that impede trade. The issues about free movement of people, and the common market is really about the freedoms, where free movement is one of them, and these are issues that we need to address in order to grow trade. We also have the need to recognize the mutual recognition of standardization marks, so that once we issue standardization marks by either the Tanzania Bureau of Standards or the Kenya Bureau of Standards, we are able to trade our goods freely within the region. The other one I'd mention is the rules of origin. The rules of origin were revised a few years back, but there are certain products that, because of some challenges in the rules of origin, are unable to access the EAC market, and these include products like edible oils. And what we are urging is, even as we wait for the finalization of the review of the rules of origin, that between our two partner states, based on the agreement we have to really try and address the impediments between us, to allow these goods to access the market, and to really look at the issue either of the change in tariff heading, or how we can use the criteria of manufacture in which the value of all non-originating material does not exceed 70%. So I just wanted to highlight some of these issues. I know during the plenary we will be discussing more about some of this. As a way forward, the East African manufacturers are very keen about the conclusion of the common external tariff, because we see a lot of opportunity that will arise when we have a 4-band tariff in place, a tariff that really promotes industrialization. So on behalf of the manufacturers in the region, I would really want to urge our ministers and our governments to really consider expediting the common external tariff, and also the discussions on the rules of origin at the back of that. In conclusion, the goodwill shown by our presidents and the political leadership that we saw out of the news today and yesterday, that the barriers to trade have been addressed and there's political commitment to address the same. We just want to urge that if we can have meetings as soon as possible, or even start seeing any goods that are stuck at the border moving freely, that will really back the political commitment with action. It will be what we call kusema na kutenda. But we appreciate the goodwill, and as the business community, we look forward to more investment in Tanzania, more investment in Kenya, and more trade between our two nations for the mutual benefits, not just of ourselves, but really of the people of our region, in a bid to create opportunities for all of us. And lastly, I think we have a lot of opportunities for our SMEs within the region. All our countries are rich in the agricultural sector, so there's the opportunity for us to really capitalize, increase productivity at farm level, and create opportunities. There's also opportunities in technology, ICT, the creative industries. So the opportunities are vast, and in conclusion, I started by speaking about opportunities. I want to conclude by saying that let us approach these discussions with an abundance mentality. There's enough to go around for all of us, and it's possible for us to create a lot of industries that will really take the Africa Continental Free Trade Area by storm. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, our dear sister Phyllis, for taking us through those expansions areas, and I'm double sure that it will give us now a good, ample time for us to discuss. As the peer started by saying, let's discuss considering the aspects that has brought us here, giving solutions and giving a way forward. Nikubalini sasa nimwalike Balozi Weru, katibu katika Wizara ya Biashara, ili aweze kutuongoza katika hii nafasi ambapo sasa tutazungumza sote. After the discussant and also the presenter, we have now time for us to discuss. If there is something you noted down, let us now bring it out. Karibu PS.
Thank you very much, my colleague. As per the program, we have a very short window for the plenary on the presentation made by Dr. Ikiara and the issues raised by the discussant, Phyllis Wakiaga. What you have done, ministers and delegates, we have 2 roving mics, and my harbor duty this morning is to request you give me a signal by a show of your hand, and I will give you the floor. I would prefer that we make it very short because we have lost a bit of time. I'm waiting to see the first signal, and I'm encouraging the Tanzanian delegation to come forward first. I'm looking at the Tanzanian delegates if they have any reactions to the issues raised by the discussant and the main presenter, so that we can have a conversation, however short. And remember, as I indicated, this is the opportunity from which we shall distill the joint conclusions that we shall present to our leaders when they arrive. I open the floor. I'm being shown, okay, at the back there. And be short, please. Introduce yourself and to the point.
Good morning, distinguished guests, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Makanza from Tanzania. I'm part of the Tanzania Private Sector Foundation delegation, and I'm also the chairman of the Confederation of Tanzania Industries. A very interesting presentation from our colleagues in Kenya on the investment, interesting comments from my colleague, the lady. I just wanted to pick up on 1 or 2 things which I would urge us to consider. One is, if you look at the terms of trade between Kenya and Tanzania, you will note that a lot of the imports into Kenya or exports from Tanzania to Kenya are raw materials. And a lot of the imports into Tanzania from Kenya are finished products. And basically, what I would want to encourage is setting up factories in Tanzania for value addition, in particular in agro-processing. I know we talk about EAC in terms of industrialization and so on, but I believe there is a need to actually drive the EAC industrialization program in tandem, okay, in tandem. The second point I wanted to raise is to thank my colleague for raising the various issues that inhibit trade within our 2 countries. And I just wanted also to add the issue of SPCs. Basically, these sanitary and phytosanitary measures, and we would urge our 2 nations to actually make sure there's regular consultations so that we do not end up with surprises which can then sometimes pull back the trade agenda. Lastly, I wanted to bring up also the point of joint ventures between our business communities or our business people. So if you're investing in Tanzania, get a local partner. If you're investing in Kenya, get a local partner. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Those are 3 questions in one. I'll give the last question to my brother over here. Please make it short so that we can catch up with time. You have the floor.
Honorable ministers, permanent secretaries, heads of different departments of government, business persons, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rostam Azizi, a businessman from Tanzania. I've been listening to the presentations made by Invest Kenya and the lady that did the last presentation. Gentlemen, Tanzania and Kenya potentially can be much bigger than they are. Unfortunately, we're bogged down with petty politics, protectionism, inward-looking, trivial issues that impede economic development. You can see that the relationship between Kenya and Tanzania is skewed. It's skewed because it's very easy for Kenyans to come to Tanzania to invest. And we have many examples. There are 530 Kenyan companies in Tanzania invested over $1.7 billion. But there are only 30 Tanzanian companies in Kenya with hardly $50 million. So this relationship is that of trading tomatoes, oranges, and powdered milk. It's not a relationship that can build the two economies. These economies are giant. $180 billion in GDP. 120 million people. Huge. We hardly have to work with other countries if we really realize the potential of the two countries. We, from Tanzania, have tried to come and invest in Kenya. I came in 2017. I'll give you a small story. I came here in 2017 and I met His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta at the State House. And he said to me, Rostam, come invest in Kenya. I said, of course, sir. Why would I invest in South Africa or England or somewhere when I can invest in Kenya? He says, please, what would you like to invest in? I said, well, I think there's an opportunity in gas in Tanzania, in Kenya. He said, please, do it. It has taken me 3 years and I have still not got a response on my investment proposition. $130 million of an investment that I was ready to make. I met obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. Some really sad stories, but I don't want to go into them. But in short, if we don't underpin the relationship between Kenya and Tanzania with investments, the relationship is not sustainable. Tanzania cannot be forever an export of raw material and Kenya to enjoy the luxury of giving us their manufactured goods. We need equity in this relationship. We need a relationship that is beneficial to Kenya and Tanzania, to Tanzanians and Kenya. So please, honorable ministers, permanent secretaries, we need to look at this very seriously. We can be talking here, having teas and coffees, but then we end up in deeper and deeper misunderstanding as we go forward. This needs closer scrutiny, needs to be handled and tackled with seriousness if we want this relationship to go from strength to strength. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And as you take your seat, if I can wear my other hat, I can assure you the new page that was opened by our two leaders yesterday is indeed a new page. So from here, I'll give you my card, and I'll be able to not have tea and coffee with you, but to engage you immediately after this session, because we are going to have a B2B. Therefore, delegates, let me request Dr. Ikiara to take just a minute. And thank you, Dr. Ikiara, for giving the investor your card. I hope you've given, will know the directions to our meeting. Please come forward, take a minute, and respond to the two issues. Actually, there are 5 plus. Then we move to the next segment of the program. You have the floor.
Thank you, Bwana PS. And asante sana kwa ndugu zetu wale wamechangia, wameuliza maswali. We appreciate. I think swali ya kwanza ilikuwa, it was actually an idea about idea of setting up processing value addition factories, so that one country is not exporting only raw materials, but they have a chance to do value addition. My response to this is that in the region, the opportunity is immense for everyone. So I don't see actually why this cannot happen. And this with the idea of, promoting joint ventures is a good thing. We, in Kenya, we are thinking about considering the idea of setting up a conditional incentives framework to encourage investors to go in the right direction. And it will be okay to say we will give more investors more tax breaks and other incentives, those who agree to form joint ventures. So that becomes one criteria. Also, those who buy more from the domestic economies and in their factories. So I think this is doable because opportunity is immense, and I think it can be a win-win for the two countries. I think on SPS, maybe somebody else, maybe Phyllis may talk about this, but I think this is a good idea also, that if the two countries are consulting, properly, regularly, and sincerely, and they also guided also by international standards on some of the things, how to do these things, it's doable. On the issue of that we can actually take advantage of the strength we have as two economies for everybody's benefit, I couldn't agree much more. And I think we just find ways. We need to find ways of building more trust, across everybody, and also look at the empirical evidence around the world about the benefits of freer trade. When you have freer trade, the benefits accrue to many participants. And I think it's the meeting we're having today, I think is a good starting point for starting to build the trust, starting to trust each other and to know each other, so that we can do things together in a better way. I think Mwensangu, the investor who has talked so passionately, I think he has put me on the spot, because I said how we treat investors as king or queen. He didn't give me the chance to treat him as a king. So I've just given him my card so that we can actually start. We understand what the problem has been and solve it as quickly as possible. Our structure, we have different line ministries and agencies with responsibility and mandate to handle different things. But for us, we've said we would like to coordinate. If it's something like gas, we know the agencies that are dealing with that and will be able to have the chance to serve you, sir. So I think anytime let us know, even if you have time today before you travel, we will be happy to discuss. My minister, waziri wangu, umeona ameniita mara moja. She summoned me to find out what is happening. It just shows you the spirit that we want investment. We want to, even if we can't say yes all the time, we must say no, and quickly, so that there's no ambiguity, no nothing. And Kenya is a country that is following, I think, the rule of law. So there's nobody who will say no if everything is in line with the policy and the law. So I wish some of the Tanzanians who have been here would have been here to give a testimonial, so that the Tanzanian investors who are here and who are considering to invest here don't only go with one view, that it takes 3 years or more to get sorted out. Yeah. Thank you very much. Asanteni.
Thank you so much, Dr. Moses, for that affirmation that something will happen. And thank you so much for, we agreed as when we were starting that let us have candid discussion, let us have problems, and also let us forge forward for solutions. And that's why we are here. Mnikubalia nitambue uwepo wa waziri wetu wa spoti, tamaduni na turathi za kitaifa, Balozi Amina Mohammed. Naomba wapungie mkono wenzetu karibisha waziri wetu. Asante sana. Nafasi hii ningependa tuingie katika ndugu zetu. Allow me to invite the first presenter, Tanzania Export and Investment Potential, Dr. Manduhu Kazi, the Director General, Tanzania Investment Center. Dr. Moses, you have your 10 minutes to take us through your presentation. Karibu sana.
Waheshimiwa mawaziri, waheshimiwa makatibu wakuu na wakuu wa taasisi, nina heshima kubwa kuleta presentation ya kuhusiana na overview of investment climate, trade and opportunities in Tanzania. The first slide, please. Yeah, this is the agenda for today. Next. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this slide answers a very prominent question as to why should one consider to invest in Tanzania. We have so many reasons for one to consider to invest in Tanzania, but I just put very few there. The first, which is also very, very important, is that in Tanzania there is peace and stability, and according to very many sources, including the sources about Peace and Stability Index, they have ranked Tanzania among the most peaceful countries in the world, and in Africa it is on the 7th slot, and in the East African region we are the first. So if you are an investor, you are assured that your property is well protected because security organs and the people of Tanzania are very good people. So you are assured of peace and stability, but we also have a good governance and stable post-election and no civil wars. In economic stability, Tanzania is very stable economically. We've been growing by about 7%. For so many years, but even during this time of pandemic, where so many countries suffered, including very large and rich countries in the world, Tanzania has been vigilant. Tanzania has been resilient. We grew by a positive 4.7%. So this is a remarkable evidence that the diversified nature of the economy has been able to make us absorb the shock very efficiently, to the extent that we did not grow by a negative %. And we also have so many natural resources that one can tap in order to put on an investment. These include the arable land, natural gas. Also, the wildlife that we have in Tanzania is also an attraction for some people to consider to put up investment projects in tourism. But besides having said that Tanzania is politically stable, we also have another advantage similar to that, that your project will be protected because Tanzania has signed so many guarantees, acts that protects the investment of investors in Tanzania. Here I just mentioned some of these, which make sure that your investment is protected and we have not gotten any problems with people being confiscated their properties or anything like this. We also have a strategic location that Tanzania is surrounded by 6 landlocked countries. Starting from the north, you have Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Congo, Malawi, and Zambia. So if you put your investment, there is enough transport of goods from Tanzania to all these parts which are neighboring Tanzania. But we also have 3 international airports, but we also have 3 ports. These are very well advanced and they are very efficient to make sure that even your investment is well saved with these infrastructures. But in terms of the infrastructure, we also need to add that the government has been investing so heavily in opening up the country from all corners of the nation to build the roads and bridges, and also we are having a big investment of SGR which is coming on, which all these are there to facilitate the investments. Also we have access to markets through regional blocks, EAC, SADC, but also we have access to markets through the treaty that we have with the other organizations like the EU. So this is a ready market that any investor can be taking advantage of. Next, please. There you see investment categories. There are 3 for simplicity, and we have normal investors, strategic investors, and special strategic investors. They are categorized according to the capital that you have, the minimum capital that you have. As you can see from there, the minimum capital requirement for a foreign investor just for a normal investment is 500,000. It goes all the way up to special strategic investors status, whereby a person or a project need to have a minimum capital of $300 million. So as you proceed from the normal to the strategic, special strategic, you can have access to many incentives for investment. So now I can see that Kenya has got so many people who are interested and who are rich, and who we can have so many people investing in this strategic status. So I will recap a bit on this, but let's proceed. We have investment incentives ranging from fiscal and non-fiscal incentives. We have, for the fiscal incentives, we have exemption on project capital goods, whereby you have 0 import duty for the capital goods that you import, and also on raw materials. But we also have capital allowance, depreciation allowance, tax relief on deemed capital goods, whereby if you import your goods, you just pay 25% of the accepted deemed capital goods. So this is a waiver of 75%, which is quite huge. We also have some reduced corporate tax to 20% to some sectors, as you can see there, but also on assembly of some boats and all this. So in terms of the fiscal incentives, if you are a strategic investor or special strategic investor, you have the incentives which are more than these that I have mentioned here, and it's open-ended to the extent that there are so many incentives that you can get if you are in the strategic investor status. Next, please. These are non-fiscal incentives whereby initially you have you are allowed to have expatriates, five expatriates during the implementation of the project. You bring your 5 experts, nobody asks you any questions whatsoever, and also we have free repatriation of funds, as you can see, net profits and repayment of foreign loans, royalties, etc. Next, please. And now I'm going to talk about the trade between Tanzania and Kenya, and also I'll touch on the region. You see from there, this table has been talked about much, and I want to talk a bit, next please, want to talk a bit about the manufacturing. You can click please, yes, manufacturing. You see that this is the project, this is the sector that has got so many projects and also has got so many jobs. Next please. Next please. Now agriculture, I need to point out this figure of 7,415 jobs from 31 projects. This is it's an indication that agriculture is able to generate so many jobs. If you look there, agriculture in terms of jobs generation is next to manufacturing. So this is quite important when we think about creating jobs, which is also a crucial goal for the government of Tanzania to create a total of 8 million jobs by 2025. So agriculture is able to generate many jobs because also the largest percent of population in Tanzania are engaged in agriculture, and it has got a very big multiplier. Next, please. This is a summary of investments that are in Kenya, which have been invested by Tanzanians. The worth is $179.6 million, and able to generate jobs about 2,642 to Kenyans. And we can see the projects range from manufacturing of trailers, processing of cassava, starch, wheat milling, etc. This has been discussed a bit earlier, so I don't want to spend more time on this. Next, please. And now this slide talks about the shares of Tanzania's trade in East Africa. If you see the first part of export shares, you see that for exports, the share of Tanzania to the region, to the East African region, has been decreasing. It's large, of course, that Kenya is the destination that we export quite a lot compared to any other country in the East African region, but it has been declining from 84.8, you can see all the way down to 2019 is 40.2% of the exports that goes to the East Africa region go to Kenya. Now, this is a bit diversified, if you see, and it has been going on with a diversified spectrum across these countries from year to year. But I'll come back to this. Let's go to the, now don't move the slide. If you go down there, you see import shares. That Kenya is the largest source of our imports, so to speak, and the percent, if you look at the percent, is fairly stable. It's more than 80% consecutively from 2015 to 2019. That's remarkable, and I may need to come back on this in a few minutes. Next, please. Next slide, please. So I can summarize that table of statistics with this graph, which shows the trend of trade between Tanzania and Kenya. You see from 2014 to 2015, that pink line there is about exports, and the blue one is on imports. these countries have been able to more or less close the trade gap. As you can see, those lines are moving together. It's healthy, but also is declining. It's declining, and I need to point out a few things on this. If we move to the next slide, please. So for the past 5 years, if you see from 2016 in the previous page up to now, 2020, the trade balance has been in favor of Kenya, although for a very small portion, but it is in favor of Kenya. The major products have been mentioned by my colleagues. Most of these from Tanzania are maize, paper, actually they are agricultural products, and it's wood and timber. Also we have major imports from Kenya to Tanzania, most of the industrial goods, as you can see from there. Next, please. Now I go to the investment opportunities in Tanzania. We have so many investment opportunities, starting with the pharmaceutical and medical equipment. In Tanzania, this is a very lucrative subsector that someone can consider to invest because we import up to 90% of the medical and pharmaceutical equipments that we bring over to Tanzania. And this has been depriving us of our forex. So that is an important area that you can consider to get advantage of opportunities in specialized hospitals and diagnostic centers that exist in Tanzania. Next, please. Agro-processing and fishing, there are so many opportunities there. In cotton, 80% of the cotton is exported raw. So this is an important area that you can consider to put value addition on ginning, spinning, weaving, and textile and garments. So for cane sugar production, there is also a big potential. In Tanzania, the topography of the soil is very good, and we have so many areas that are surrounded with the rivers, so you can take advantage of the irrigation that can be available to the cane production. But also the cane yield is very good for Tanzania. It's about 120,000 tons per hectare, which is among the largest in the world. In edible oils also, we have some gap that we may need to have some projects to invest in. So you can invest in large-scale farming of oil seeds, establishment of oil seeds processing facility, as well as refineries. But also for fishing and aquaculture, Tanzania has got a very big area of fresh water. It's about 6.1%. And also we have 64,000 kilometers square of the marine waters that can also give an area for people to consider to put fish processing industries. Next, please. We have also opportunities in livestock and leather industry, in animal trading, slaughtering, meat processing, and leather processing. Next, please. In mining and metals, we also have opportunities there. Gold is very vibrant there, 93% of all mineral exports. So you're welcome to take advantage of that opportunity there. Next, please. Oil and gas, there are so many opportunities. About half of the area of Tanzania is having sedimentary basin that is very conducive to have gas and oil, because they have got a hydrocarbon that is very viable for oil and gas refineries. And as examples, we have now the ECOP, which is a $4 billion project, and the LNG is coming forth with about $30 billion worth. So you are welcome to also consider to venture in that area. Next, please. Tourism and leisure is also another area that you can consider. There are so many opportunities there, as you know, including tourism hotels, leisure parks, etc. Next, please. Zanzibar also has got so many opportunities that people can consider to invest, including deep sea fishing, fish farming, agriculture, horticulture, spices, and all that. And if you can contact Zipper, they have all the information about these opportunities. Next, please. In Zanzibar also, there are investment opportunities in export processing zones and special economic zones for industrial and commercial parks, utility plants, and also manufacturing projects. Next, please. Also, there are some available opportunities for first-class restaurants as well as ecotourism villas in Zanzibar. As I said, you can contact Zanzibar Investment Promotion Authority there by following their website. Next, please. Now, conclusively, as we've seen that Tanzania and Kenya have constituted the largest proportion of trade among the East African countries. So this by itself is a very good and a big opportunity that we can utilize, provided that we work on that graph that is slowing down from 2016 for the benefit of both our countries. Also, there's huge underutilized exports potential in Kenya market, and the trade, as we saw, is narrowing and has been stagnated since 2016. We don't know what's going on, but the business community have been discussing some issues there, and I think even in the preliminary you can also discuss maybe there are NTBs or whether there are beggar-thy-neighbor policies going on. So I expect to hear a lot. Also, there is great investment opportunities in agriculture, value addition, as well as tourism, both in mainland Tanzania and Zanzibar. So, having said this, we go to the next slide. This is to give you a cordial welcome to invest in Tanzania. And the first call for contact in Tanzania about all investment issues is Tanzania Investment Center. And there we have a one-stop center with 10 government institutions, which we can serve you very, very quickly, but we also have an avenue where we meet to solve if there are any problems from investors now on quarterly basis, so we can get to address the issues that the investors are having to make sure that all investors are comfortable to invest in Tanzania and they can consider to expand their investment opportunities. Thank you very much.
Asante sana Daktari Maduhu Kazi, mkurugenzi mkuu kituo cha uwekezaji Tanzania. Asante sana kwa ushauri wako. Tunashukuru kwa yote ambayo umeyasema. Nikubaliwe kabla ya kuwaleta the discussants ni watambue viongozi ambao wanazidi kujiunga nasi, hususan kutoka taifa letu la muungano wa Tanzania, mabalozi, mawaziri ambao wako nasi. Kwa njia ya kipekee nitambue uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Balozi Liberata Rutangeruka Mulamula ambaye ni waziri wa mambo ya nje na ushirikiano wa Afrika Mashariki. Tafadhali tupungie mkono, tumkaribisha tafadhali. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Balozi. Nitambue uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Profesa Adol Mkenda, waziri wa kilimo. Tumkaribisha waziri. Karibu sana waziri, Profesa. Nimtambue Mheshimiwa Geoffrey Mwembe, waziri wa uwekezaji, ofisi ya waziri mkuu. Karibu sana waziri. Nitambue uwepo wa Mheshimiwa Lela Musa, waziri wa utalii na turathi za kitaifa. Karibu sana waziri, na iwapo kuna wengine ambao wamefika anayehusika na itifaki kutoka jimbo au taifa la Tanzania ataweza kunifahamisha. Ningependa nafasi hii, allow me to invite we have 3 discussants and I'm requesting them to take 2 minutes each kindly, because we have 6 minutes for the 3 of them. I wish to invite the discussant from the private sector, Honorable Sylvester Francis Koki, who is a board member, Tanzania Private Sector Foundation. Kindly. As he's joining us, I also wish to invite Mr. Paul Mukanza, who will follow after Mheshimiwa amemaliza. Mr. Paul Mukanza, mwenyekiti wa Confederation of Tanzania Industries, awe tayari na dakika zake 2. Kisha Ms. Jacqueline Mkindi, Chair Agriculture Council of Tanzania, also to be ready. Karibu Mheshimiwa.
Asante sana mshereheshaji. Naomba kuwatambua waheshimiwa mawaziri wote, makatibu wakuu, viongozi wote wa private sector Tanzania na Kenya, lakini na wafanyabiashara wenzangu wote tuliokutanika hapa. Naomba mpokee salamu kutoka TPSF. Nitafanya presentation yangu kwa Kiswahili kwa sababu tunapromote biashara kati ya Tanzania na Kenya. Sasa ni wakati vile vile tupromote Kiswahili ili wafanyabiashara wetu waweze kufanya biashara vizuri, na imani wote mnanielewa. Ningependa nikazie kidogo kwenye ile presentation ambayo imefanywa na mkurugenzi wetu wa Investment Center Tanzania, na nikitaka kusema kwamba objective kubwa ya sisi viongozi wa private sector ni create employment. Na ili tuweze create employment kwa wananchi wetu wa Tanzania na Kenya, ni lazima tuweze kuwekeza katika hizi nchi mbili katika hali ya win-win situation. Na mimi ningesema baada ya kujifunza kutokana na janga hili la COVID, tunaona wazi kwamba sasa kuna umuhimu zaidi wa kuwekeza ndani ya nchi zetu ili tuweze kufanya biashara pamoja, lakini vile vile kupata mahitaji ya pamoja ndani ya nchi zetu mbili bila kutegemea nchi za Ulaya, Marekani na kwingineko. Sasa kwa kukazia tunafanyaje? Kwanza tuna challenge nyingi sana za biashara za kawaida katika mipaka yetu. Na tumekubaliana kwa goodwill ya viongozi wetu, marais wetu kuanzia jana walivyoongea, na mawaziri wataendelea kuongea, kwamba sasa ni wakati especially TBS na KBS waondoe yale mambo ambayo yanazuia ufanyaji wa biashara kati ya hizi nchi mbili, na hususani katika mambo ya standardi za bidhaa mbalimbali katika nchi hii. Hili ni jambo la kwanza la haraka ambalo wafanyabiashara wengi wa Tanzania na Kenya wanalilalamikia sana. Lakini jambo la pili ni kuhusu investment. Tunafanyaje? Sisi tunaamini, kwa nini ujenge likiwanda likubwa Kenya ukifikiria tu kuchukua raw material kutoka Tanzania, au ujenge likiwanda likubwa Tanzania ukifikiria tu kuchukua raw material kutoka Kenya na kwenda kutengeneza pale? Kwa nini usijenge kiwanda cha kadri Kenya, lakini vile vile ukaenda Tanzania hata ukapata joint venture, ukajenga kiwanda Tanzania, ukacreate employment, ukapata raw material kwa karibu, ukatengeneza bidhaa na zenyewe zikawa made Tanzania au zikawa made Kenya, uka-export. Lakini utakuwa tayari una joint venture na Mtanzania, una joint venture na Mkenya, lakini vile vile umecreate employment kwa wale wa Tanzania. Ili tuondokane na ile hali ya kuwa na kiwanda likubwa kwamba sasa employment ni Kenya na bidhaa raw material inatoka Tanzania. Kwa hiyo tukifanya hivyo tutakuwa na ile win-win situation kwamba tuna invest Tanzania, tuna invest Kenya, na kwa sababu vile vikwazo vitakuwa vimeondolewa, nina imani kwamba uchumi wa nchi hizi mbili utaendelea kuwa mkubwa, tukitegemea kwamba tuna zaidi ya idadi ya watu milioni 100 ambao tayari wanatupa nafasi ya kuwa na soko kubwa katika uwekezaji ambao tutafanya. Sisi private sector ya Tanzania tuko tayari kuwapokea wa Kenya endapo tunaona kwamba kila kitu kinaenda katika hali ya win-win situation na hakuna tena malalamiko kati ya wawekezaji katika nchi hizi mbili. Asanteni kwa muda niliopewa.
Asante sana mheshimiwa kwa utendeti na kuongea kwa ufasaha. Asante, na ujumbe ambao umetoa ni mufti na tunashukuru. Nafasi nitamwalika bwana Paul Mkanza, the chairman Confederation of Tanzanian Industry, dakika zako 2. Na mheshimiwa, asante, you set a good pace. Tukifuata hivyo tutafanya vyema.
Asante sana ndugu MC, na mimi naomba kutambua uwepo wa waheshimiwa kutoka pande zote mbili, Tanzania na Kenya. Na mimi naomba niongee, mwenzangu kaongea kwa Kiswahili na nataka kuonyesha pia kwamba na sisi Kiingereza tunakijua pia. Kwa hiyo nitaomba niongee kwa Kiingereza. Mwenzetu wa TIC ameongelea kwa nini mje Tanzania kuinvest. Why you should come to invest in Tanzania. And there are a number of given. I mean, for us in Tanzania, issues like political and economic stability, natural resources, the strategic location, these are given. We take them for granted, but you can never take these things for granted in other nations. So for us, you know, these are very attractive. But I just wanted to focus on the issue of market access. I know, for example, Kenya is not a member of, is a member of COMESA, but not SADC. Yeah? And therefore, you are missing out certain opportunities within the SADC region, which is a huge region of about It's a market opportunity of about 342 million people. Now, I know within these regional trading blocks, we are aware that other regional trading blocks are developing. You have the tripartite free trade area, and obviously the African continental free trade area. And I think it is about time now we started, thinking as East Africans relative to the other trading blocks. But I also wanted to emphasize a very critical point in terms of market access into Tanzania, and allow me to be a little self-indulgent here as a Tanzanian. I think our presenter was a little shy to mention two critical issues. There will always be questions about, okay, you're telling me come into Tanzania and invest. What about the investment climate? What about the business environment? As the chairman of one of the largest businesses in Tanzania, Tanzania Cigarette Company, I want to assure you, our government is working very hard to ensure that we have a conducive business environment. And we as a private sector are constantly on their necks to ensure that this actually happens. And we have the blueprint for regulatory environment reforms, and basically just to give you confidence that through various engagements, which we continue to do, we are beginning to see movement in a number of areas. Positive movements. I don't need to talk about the hard infrastructure, and I think for those who've been to Tanzania lately, you will have seen how the infrastructure projects have taken off, from roads, ongoing projects in rail, and so on. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to invest in Tanzania. And if you have any challenges, the TIC gentleman is here. Grab him, get his card. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Asante sana ndugu Paul Makanza, mwenyekiti. Namwalika sasa dada Jacqueline Mkindi, ambaye ni mwenyekiti wa masuala ya kilimo Tanzania. Dakika zako mbili dada.
Shukrani sana. Honorable ministers present here and chief secretaries, viongozi wenzangu kutoka sekta binafsi Kenya na Tanzania, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Na mimi nitachukua muda mfupi sana comment on the very powerful presentation from Dr. Maduhu about investing in Tanzania. I will not dwell much on the opportunities, investment opportunities in Tanzania, because they've been very well presented by Dr. Maduhu. But I would really want to actually emphasize on the role of partners, both a public and private sector, in creating conducive business environment for investment to take place in our respective countries. There are vast opportunities in Tanzania and in Kenya when it comes to investment. However, there are critical things that needs to be done na nchi zote hizi mbili katika kuhakikisha kwamba we have the right ecosystem, trading ecosystem between the two countries. And even if we didn't want to actually work together or forge, strategic partnerships to create an enabling environment, there are two critical factors that we need to really consider sasa hivi as we think of, enhancing a business environment. One of those factors is population growth. We are told by our researchers that the population in our countries is going to hit 1.4 billion come 2030. And come 2050, the population in East Africa are going to hit 2.5 billion. Therefore, there's going to be increasing demand for food, and of course, youth unemployment is going to increase in our countries. Two, there is the issue of climate change and the impact of climate change in our business arena. And so, ni vitu gani ambavyo tunakutana navyo when it comes to the impact or the effect of climate change in our respective country to do with business? Of course, we are told kwamba climate change inaenda to affect our yields, because when we talk of investment, we have to actually consider backward as well as forward integration. And that is how we talk business environment in a sustainable manner. And so we are told the effect of climate change is going to affect our system, our yields by 50%. We're going to reduce our yield by 50%. That is not enough. We are also going to expect we're going to expect increasing climate refugees in our country. Again, increasing demand for food. So we really need, as countries, to forge strategic partnership to enhance conducive environment for our businesses. One, addressing the technical barriers to trade. That one has been critically mentioned by my colleagues in the previous, before me. So number two, of course, we should facilitate transfer of technologies and knowledge between Tanzania and Kenya. If pesticides, for example, have been registered in Kenya or in Tanzania, if technical data are available, if efficacy data is available in Kenya, why should we repeat the same process in Tanzania? And so I think it is the role of partners, both public and private, to ensure that we are reducing the cost of doing business in our countries by making sure that the technology that is necessary for fostering trade is, of course, available, accessible, as well as affordable for the private sector to survive and thrive in our countries. Of course, too, I want to emphasize on the issue of harmonization of our standards and practices. It is critical now that, we agree to finalize the harmonization of SPS protocol, for example, as that is how we're going to really facilitate, agriculture or agribusiness trade between our countries. And the harmonization or our discussion around standard compliance should not only end at SPS. As a bloc, we should actually go further and think of how, as a team, should we tackle market in different, blocks like EU. We, as Tanzania and Kenya, have been the recipients of standards from Europe and other countries. Why don't we forge partnership that would actually allow us to even have space in the standard formation tables at different levels beyond Africa and even beyond Europe? I think we need really to agree on our working together around compliance to market standards, at different levels. And so what needs to be done? Public-private partnership is critical. And when we talk of PPP, sometimes we actually narrow our perspectives into public-private partnership. And I really want to actually emphasize on the three contexts of PPPs, which is very, very critical to enhance business or smooth business transaction between Tanzania and Kenya. One, of course, public-public partnership. Harmonization between government and within government is very, very critical to allow for the right business ecosystem in our countries. Secondly, I think we should also consider the public-private. And thirdly, it's private-private. It is high time for private sector to start talking in our respective countries and ensure optimal business information flow amongst ourselves. TPSF should start engaging meaningfully with KEPSA. Agriculture Council of Tanzania should actually continue engaging meaningfully with the Agriculture Council of Kenya here, and the list can go on and on. And so this is the most viable way of ensuring that we are smoothly transacting and the businesses that are establishing in our respective countries are really growing and become sustainable. Thank you very much.
Asante sana. Tumpongeze tena kwa makofi mazuri dada Jacqueline Mkindi ambaye ni mwenyekiti kitengo cha kilimo. Na asante sana. Ningependa kutaja machache ili tuweze kuingia katika ratiba rasmi. I want to request all the media fraternity, the guys with cameras, kindly to constrain or to confine yourself to the media raiser. Wale wote ambao tunafanya jukumu la kunakili, iwe ni katika kamera zetu, iwe ni katika video, tumepewa nafasi ya kufanya kazi pale nyuma na nitaomba sote tuwe hapo. Let us not have movements in between the guests. Tunaingia katika ratiba rasmi wakati wote kuanzia sasa, kwa maana mlezi wetu na mgeni wake tayari wamejiunga nasi. I beseech your indulgence that we minimize movements. We are almost moving to a formal program. Let us minimize movement. Let us minimize talking. I would also wish very humbly to request that we manage our phones. We are all blessed with phones, and our phones has different ringtones. So as distinguished ladies and gentlemen, kindly let's manage our phones. It will be very bad when the president is making a remark and then we get many ringtones within ourselves. let us manage our phones so that we can move to the formal program starting any moment from now. Nitaomba sasa tuwe watulivu, na watakapoingia viongozi wetu, mgeni wetu na mlezi wake, tutashauriwa kusimama sote. Ni kanuni na desturi, mila zetu kuwakaribisha viongozi kwa makofi ili wajihisi kwamba tumewakaribisha. Tutakuwa na nafasi ya kuwa na nyimbo 3, wimbo wa Jumuiya ya Muungano wa Tanzania, wimbo wa Jamhuri ya Kenya na wimbo wa Muungano wa Afrika Mashariki. Kisha tutaingia katika ratiba ya mazungumzo mafupi, na kama nilivyoomba awali, wale ambao watapata fursa ya kuzungumza, tuzungumze kwa uchache lakini direct to the point, so that we can address the issues that have taken a long time for us to address them. Kisha baadaye viongozi wetu watazungumza nasi, and then we shall have a communique that will be tabled in order for us to have a way forward. Mnenaji mmoja alizungumza akasema isiwe kuja tu na kuketi, tungependa kuwa na way forward, na furaha yangu ni kwamba baada ya viongozi wetu kuzungumza, tutakuwa na mmoja ambaye atazungumza kwa niaba yetu sote as a joint communique. Kwa hivyo kwa sasa tuwe watulivu, nitakuwa nikiwashauri wakati ambapo utafika. Asanteni. Ikiwa umejiunga nasi hivi sasa, wale ambao wanatazama kule kupitia mitandao mbalimbali, ni siku ya kipekee tunapoendelea na jukwaa la biashara kati ya Jamhuri ya Kenya na nchi ya Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Ikiwa mada yetu siku ya leo ni kuboresha biashara, utalii na uwekezaji katika Jamhuri ya Kenya na Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania katika Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki, ikiwa ni katika mfumo wa umoja wa forodha. Mazungumzo yalianza hapo awali na tunaendelea kuangalia vikwazo na hata kutafuta suluhu. Endelea kujiunga nasi.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ndugu Muislam popote pale ulipo, sasa tumekuletea sadaka package. Hii ni package maalum itakayokuwezesha kununua kitabu cha Jifunze Kusoma Qur'ani kwa mfumo wa sadaka, ambapo idadi ya vitabu utakavyonunua vitapelekwa moja kwa moja kwenye eneo utakalotuelekeza insha Allah. Iwe ni kwenye madrasa, misikiti, vituo vya kulelea watoto yatima ama popote pale. Idadi ni kuanzia vitabu 5 ambapo kila kitabu kimoja kitagharimu shilingi 8,500 tu. Package hii ni ya kudumu insha Allah. Kwa mawasiliano zaidi piga simu namba 0686619324. Toa sadaka yako leo kwa kuifundisha Qur'ani popote ulipo. Wabillahi tawfiq.
Saleh Decoration wanakwambia ile seli ya Ramadhan na sikukuu imeanza. Wameingiza mzigo mpya kama vile mazulia ya kila design, madometi, mito. Vyote hivyo ni kwa bei nafuu ikiambatana na bonus kama sadaka yako ya mwezi wa Ramadhan. Wanakwambia hivi, ukinunua bidhaa yeyote yenye thamani ya shilingi 200,000 tu,
unapata bonus au zawadi ya shilingi 20,000.
Usisahau ile seli ya mapazia inaendelea. Na ukinunua henga 2 unapata moja bure, na kila unavyonunua zaidi unapata bonus kwa wingi. Hii ni seli bab kubwa, haijawahi kutokea. Vitambaa vya mapazia quality kwa shilingi 8,000 tu. Hata ukinunua mita 1 ya kitambaa cha pazia unapata zawadi ya mita 1 ya kitambaa cha shifoni. Unasubiri nini?
Fika katika duka lao lililopo Miembeni nyuma ya jumba namba 9. Wapo wazi kila siku.
Kwa mawasiliano zaidi wapigie kwa namba 0777725753 au 0772621010. Saleh Decoration ndo kabali yao. Saleh Decoration, make your home perfect.
Tusimame tafadhali. Naomba mabibi na mabwana tusimame kwa heshima tumkaribishe Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, na Mheshimiwa Samia Suluhu Hassan, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Tuwakaribishe kwa makofi mabibi na mabwana, wageni wetu karibuni. Tuendelee kuwapongeza hadi wapande kwenye jukwaa. Asante. Nitaomba sote tuwe wima sasa kwa wimbo wa taifa wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, wimbo wa taifa wa Jamhuri ya Kenya na wimbo wa Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki. Wimbo wa taifa. Mheshimiwa Rais, kwa ruhusa yako naomba tuketi. Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya na Amiri Jeshi Mkuu wa Majeshi ya Ulinzi, Mheshimiwa Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, waheshimiwa wajumbe viongozi kutoka nchi ya Kenya, waheshimiwa wajumbe viongozi kutoka nchi ya Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, mabibi na mabwana. Karibuni katika jukwaa la biashara kati ya Jamhuri ya Kenya na nchi ya Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Mada ikiwa ni kuboresha biashara, utalii na uwekezaji katika Jamhuri ya Kenya na Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania katika Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki, tukizingatia mfumo wa umoja wa forodha ikiwa njia moja ya kutanua wigo. Naomba sasa Mheshimiwa Rais nikubalie nimwalike katibu wa kudumu katika Wizara ya Biashara nchini Kenya, atuongoze kwa kipindi kifuatacho. Katibu Balozi Wero, tafadhali tuvalie njuga.
Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya na Amiri Jeshi Mkuu wa Majeshi ya Ulinzi ya Kenya, Mheshimiwa Samia Suluhu Hassan, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, ujumbe kutoka Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania na ujumbe wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, mabibi na mabwana, kwa ruhusa yako Mheshimiwa Rais, naomba niwaalike watu wachache, actually watu 4 tu watazungumza kama dakika 7 ama 8 hivi. Wa kwanza ni Paul Makanza, Vice Chair wa Tanzania Private Sector Foundation, atakayetoa taarifa fupi ya yale tuliyozungumzia hapa kama wanabiashara na watu wa serikali. Naomba nimwalike ndugu Paul Makanza. Uko na dakika 2 ndugu yangu. Ama kwa hapo tumwalike Angelina. Karibu Angelina.
Your Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of United Republic of Tanzania, Honorable Ministers from both countries present here today, Honorable High Commissioners, government officials, Mr. Nick Nesbitt, Chairperson of Kenya Private Sector Alliance, business delegation from both countries, members of the press, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. I bring greetings from the Tanzania Private Sector Foundation and on behalf of the entire private sector to the people of Kenya. Our special thanks to the Kenya Private Sector Alliance for organizing this historical business forum. Your Excellencies, I must admit we have had similar business forum before, but this one will be memorable as we have a high-powered delegation from both countries. It is a clear indication of huge appetite for business and investment in our two countries. But most importantly, is because of your presence and your support to the private sector development. Your Excellencies, your presence here today is a strong indication of the close historical ties between our two nations. Our powerful message as a private sector in Kenya and Tanzania is to widen and deepen investment trade relations for the mutual benefits of our two countries. Your Excellencies, today's Business Forum is a very important and a timely opportunity for Tanzania and Kenya business community to meet, discuss, exchange experiences with a view to highlight success, challenges, and most important, proposed solution for sustainable private sector development. for our two countries that form part of Greater EAC. Your Excellencies, I wish to identify some of the key areas that require our utmost attention, if addressed, will unlock investment and trade opportunities between our two countries. Kindly allow me to mention a few. Number one is the value of collaboration. There should be a strong collaboration between Kenya and Tanzania business community to accelerate our economic recovery given the current COVID-19 pandemic. All of us has taken lessons, especially in having collaborative and harmonized approaches. This business forum is an opportunity to engage on various key areas, be it tourism, agriculture, digital economy, infrastructure, investments, projects that can create jobs, and rules of PPP. In recovery of various economy, we need to position our two countries to attract investments, working together as collective, first and foremost, is very critical. Number two, upholding trust and mutual respect. These are crucial elements in our bilateral investments and trade engagements. We should enhance trust and mutual respect between our economic actors. Number three, investment in value addition. Our countries are endowed with natural resource and comparative advantage, which must be properly harnessed so they contribute significantly to our economies. We must challenge the conventional thinking and innovatively use our resources to drive positive change. We must together exploit such potential for the benefit of our countries by investing in value addition and processing industries. Number four, increase bilateral trade between our two countries. Despite the fact that there is significant trade between Kenya and Tanzania, great potential still exists, given the opportunities available. However, this has been undermined by persistence of recurring NTBs and technical barriers and SPS, sanitary and phytosanitary measures that limit the capacity of manufacturers to enter regional markets for their products. In conclusion, I wish to thank you, Your Excellencies, once again for honoring us with the presence today. I also extend my sincere thanks to all members of the business community present here. Thank you all for your time and participation. We look forward to affirmative actions that will address the existing investment and trade issue that has been highlighted above for the mutual benefit of our nation and our people. God bless Kenya, God bless Tanzania, God bless Africa. Thank you for your attention.
Kwa ruhusa yako, Mheshimiwa Rais, naomba sasa nimwalike Madam Caroline Kariuki Karoga asame mafupi tafadhali. You have the floor.
Your Excellency, President Uhuru Kenyatta, the President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces, High Excellency, President Sauna Suluhu Hassan, the President of Tanzania, all protocols have been observed. You will forgive me for my bad Swahili, so I will stick to English for today, but in our next meeting, I'll have polished a bit of my Swahili. Let me just introduce Kenya Private Sector Alliance to you, High Excellency, who we are very, very proud to have you today, and we are looking forward to a really good engagement. The Private Sector Alliance, KEPSA, is the apex body of the private sector in Kenya that brings together the local and foreign business associations, Chamber of Commerces, corporates, as multinational companies, large corporates, SMEs, and startups from all sectors of the economy under one umbrella to enable them speak in one voice when engaging government and other stakeholders on cross-cutting policy issues affecting private sector development. KEPSA supports business with training, opportunities to network, financial linkages, mentorships and coaching, access to markets, value chains, and access to investment opportunities. We are basically the federation of associations, and many of them are represented here, and they cover all the sectors and in all parts of the country. And so I'll be speaking on the behalf of the private sector in Kenya today. And since my colleague from the TPSF, which is the KEPSA of Tanzania, has highlighted some of the areas that we want to look at, I'll be basically looking at some of the areas that we want to discuss in terms of just the specifics. But before I do that, one of the things that we've realized, Kenya and Tanzania are basically at the same level with GDP and in terms of FDI, when you look at the numbers, so that we realize we are really, really brothers and sisters of the same father, maybe different mothers. Tanzania has been growing, has been a growth hub in the past decade, recording an average of GDP growth of 6.3 annually between 2010 and 2019, and doubling the size of its economy from $32 billion to $63.2 billion. Kenya's growth in the same period averaged about 5.8%. Basically, we are the same, increasing its GDP from $40 billion to $95.5 billion. In terms of foreign FDI, our two countries have continued to attract significant investments in the region. In 2018, Kenya attracted $1.6 billion in FDI inflows and $1.3 billion in 2019, majorly on two ICT and health sectors, while Tanzania in the same period attracted $1.06 billion and $1.1 billion respectively in 2018 and 2019. Kenya is a key partner and the largest source of African foreign direct investment into Tanzania. And I will not go into the numbers in the interest of time. We note with appreciation the continued implementation of policy reforms towards improving the business environment and facilitate investments in both our countries. Tanzania has attracted immense investments in its mining and energy industries. Kenya, by the same token, has been celebrated as a scion in ease of doing business reforms that have been spearheaded by you, Your Excellency, in your usual roundtables with KEPSA that helped the ease of doing business move from 136 in 2015 to 56 currently, and we're looking to work on the competitiveness index this year. By working together, our two countries stand a better chance of accelerating our economic recovery from COVID-19, attracting investments in joint areas of comparative advantage, and position us to benefit immensely from the emerging opportunities of the African Continental Free Trade Area. KEPSA has established strong partnerships and trade relationships in Tanzania by signing an MOU with TPSF, which is our counterpart in April 2018. We jointly Made in Tanzania Expo with TPSF in KICC and facilitated successful B2B matchmaking opportunities. By working together on areas of joint comparative advantages of both countries, our business communities can exploit several opportunities with government support. This includes tourism and marketing both countries as one destination, our common tea and coffee, music, doing collabos, for all of us who know what that is, twinning up with music, value chains of our products, e.g. coconut farming, horticulture, and building large industries because of our combined raw materials and labor, and we can create jobs in both countries. Creative industry has witnessed remarkable growth in both countries, fueled by the commonality of the Swahili language. The meteoric rise of bongo music flavor, especially among the urban youth in Kenya and Tanzania, is testament of social cohesion brought about by bongo music, which technically originated from Tanzania. Key Tanzanian artists such as Ali Kiba and Asib Abdul Juma Isaac, popularly known by his stage name Diamond Platinum, have particularly reaped it big in the creative industry because of overwhelming support from Kenyans through concerts and events promotion. Not to forget our own Sauti Sol, who have equally amassed a religious following in Tanzania, thanks to the shared culture, value system, and language between the two partner states. And this can be really a big income earner and jobs for the two countries. To address the trade barriers and enhance investment growth opportunities in both our countries, KEPSA convened a consultative meeting in January 2021 between the two high commissioners, who we are very, very grateful to both of them, Honorable Dan Kazungu from Kenya and his Tanzanian counterpart, Dr. John Stefan Zimbachawane, who will discuss possible solutions to trade barriers between both countries. Your Excellencies, the following are some of the major issues of major concern raised during the joint meeting with our two ambassadors, which we have begun, which again we have discussed this morning between the two business communities, and we'll just share with you a little bit of our conclusions. And what my counterpart said, prevalence of NTBs, which consequently affects the regional integration agenda and trade partnership between our two partner states, such as discriminative duties and fees, as well as non-recognition of rules of origin and testing certificates, which affect small traders at the borders. Double taxation, which creates a costly business environment for investors. The East Africa Double Taxation Treaty, if ratified by all EAC partner states, will remove double taxation for investors whose companies operate in the two or more member countries. Lack of mutual dispute settlement mechanisms, which makes it hard for investors to have confidence that barriers to regional markets will not be reinstated overnight. Disharmony of taxes, particularly excise duty, IDF, income tax, and VAT in the EAC partner states, resulting into less trade volume returns. Non-recognition of standards and professional qualifications, which is a major hindrance to movement of goods, as well as professional services between the two countries. And finally, non-implementation of the open sky policy, which denies us the opportunity to travel cheaply by air, thereby limiting the great potential of tourism that exists both countries. So these are just a bit of the highlights. But what we'll ask, Your Excellencies, is that our ministers could meet and with ourselves and really resolve the details of these issues, maybe in the next couple of weeks, so that we don't really go into all the details of every specific thing that we have mentioned. So I wish to really thank you, Your Excellencies, being our face for this partnership that KEPSA and TPSF have been developing over the years, both on investments and challenges experienced. And in the absence of our EABC CEO, who is now the Secretary General of EAC, and we're very, very grateful, I'd like to invite the EABC Chair, who will wrap up for the private sector before we move to the ministers. Thank you.
Asante sana, Caroline Kaloga. Sasa naomba nimwalike Bwana Nesbit asungumze kwa niaba ya East African Business Council. Asante sana, Rais.
Asante Bwana Weru. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, Your Excellency, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Honorable Madam Samia Suluhu Hassan, Cabinet Ministers, distinguished guests, my sister, Ms. Angela Ngulula, from Chair TPSF, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you warm greetings from my board of the East African Business Council, the umbrella of the private sector bodies in East Africa, and I'm honored to speak to you today, and I'm very grateful for all your work to promote trade and regional integration in East Africa. As stipulated under Article 7 of the East African Community Treaty, our integration is people-oriented, market-driven, and private sector-led, thus ensuring the sustainability of our regional economies. And this business forum provides us an opportunity to strengthen the partnership between private sector and your governments while furthering regional integration. And with that in mind, Your Excellencies, this morning I'd like to give you our view on what it's going to take to really create giants from East Africa. Despite being the fastest integrating region on the continent, our inter-East Africa trade is under 20%. It is far less than what it really should be. It is not at the levels of SADC, which is at 47%, the EU at 68%. We must push our intra-EAC trade above 50%. But we won't get there unless we get busy, unless we get to work, Your Excellencies, unless we address these non-tariff barriers. I've been around the East African community, and I've seen for the last 10 years many of the same NTBs that keep popping up. We're addicted to NTBs, it seems. But we're pleased to see that resolving the NTBs is a big part of the agenda in this state visit. So to do this, we need the following. We need a strong East African Community Secretariat. We have a new captain, we have a new Secretary General, Honorable Peter Mathuki, and we thank you, Your Excellencies, for appointing a very knowledgeable private sector individual to lead this role. And he is already very busy unifying his team and focusing on the regional agenda. We have many disputes. We must institute this Trade Resolution Committee that we've talked about for so long. We must encourage diversification. We talked about this earlier, Your Excellencies. Diversification of our value-add sectors and encourage manufacturing rather than importation. We must differentiate ourselves through manufacturing and adding value rather than just simply selling what others elsewhere have made. That does not enhance our competitiveness. We must build regional supply chains that mean you can manufacture one part of a finished good in Tanzania, another part in Kenya, and finally assemble it in Rwanda. We must make sure that these regional supply chains, whether they are car assembly or assembling these big Land Cruiser cars or agro-processing, lead the charge to help grow this region. And we must vastly increase our ability to move goods within and across the region by going digital. We've seen the global success of companies like Amazon, Uber, Alibaba, and they have created enormous wealth simply in distribution, simply in making things easier, simply in making things possible that you can move your products from buyer to seller, from the point of supply to the point of use. And to do this, Your Excellencies, we must continue to connect our physical infrastructure and make it easier for our trucks, ships, and aircrafts to move. We must encourage digitization, making it easier and cheaper to communicate digitally across borders while protecting the integrity of the data. We must also make it easier and much cheaper to fly ourselves and our goods within the region and across our borders. And additionally, we must make the identities of our people, our assets, our businesses more transparent, searchable, and visible across East Africa. In short, we must create more trust in the region. We want our tax regimes harmonized and mutually respected, and we want our respective standard bodies to be recognized so that our manufacturers are not subjected to abnormal tariff barriers. And we want it easier for our very hard-working professionals to work across borders and have their credentials respected. And as we see the lovely pictures presented by our friends from Tanzania, we want to ensure our local and international tourists can easily enjoy the marvels of this corner of the world, the creation of mankind. And with the AFCFTA coming, Your Excellencies, if we can do all of these things and more, we'll finally make it easier to create East African giants that can roll across the continent, hiring people, buying raw materials, and selling differentiated products en masse, building MSMEs and SMEs everywhere. That is what we want. And what we want in this environment is one that encourages exports, that encourages investment, that encourages the diaspora to come home and invest. We want to allow this environment to transform, to allow our business people to transform, to allow their brains and their ideas and their hard work ethic to build companies that last for generations. We want the right environment to transform our nations, but this isn't only about what the private sector wants alone, Your Excellency. We believe it's what our governments want as well, and we certainly believe it is what our people want. It is about calling for much closer engagement between private sector and governments, with neither party selfishly claiming a monopoly on ideas or plans for how to get there. We must get there together. And if we walk together, we will go far. We welcome the frequent calls, in closing, Your Excellency, for private sector to begin to lead from the front. And I want to tell you, we are ready. We're ready to travel with the new Secretary General to meet all of the presidents and share our vision, and we want to work together to promote this region's operating environment and make it stronger and more transparent. We're ready to get going now. Time is not on our side. We are ready. And with those few remarks, Your Excellency, I wish you all the very best in today's deliberations and in implementing over the coming months what has been agreed upon in the discussions in Nairobi this week. Asanteni sana.
Asante sana Nick Nesbitt amezungumza kwa niaba ya East African Business Council. Kwa ruhusa yako Mheshimiwa Rais, naomba sasa nimwalike Richard Ngatia, the President of the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce. If you're in the house, Richard, you have exactly 2 minutes. You have the floor. Asante.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, Her Excellency, the President of the Republic of Tanzania, Suluhu Hassan, distinguished guests, and all protocol observed, I wish to bring greetings from the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry fraternity and all the private sector in 47 counties and the MSMEs as well. The private sector attaches great importance to this event, as there is a great potential to intensify a broadened economic relations given the opportunities that exist in both countries. This event not only fosters bilateral relationship, but also provides a common front to address the economic transformation of both our countries. As the Chamber, we are committed to support the economic agenda. We have an existing cordial working relationship with the Tanzanian Chamber of Commerce, fostering bilateral development and cooperation in trade, investment, and business services. And together, we can join projects so that we can support SMEs' acceleration in tourism, technology, blue economy, and etc. Moving forward, and to cement this collaboration, we propose the establishment of a joint business council that will promote Kenya and Tanzania bilateral business relations. We call for support from both governments. The Joint Business Council will act towards promoting investments, promotion by organizing B2B, networking, and also policy forums and investment-focused events. This will be able to mitigate the issues around agriculture and aflatoxin food standards as well. In addition, we will encourage the construction of economic projects in both countries by identifying the most favorable financing channels and providing information to business persons interested in such projects. And I'm happy today we have most of our banks represented here today, and those also present in Tanzania. And I believe our government will be able to support us in providing them with stimulus package so that they can support SMEs in providing them with financial inclusion. We will continue to assist in the settlement of commercial disputes between business persons from the two countries through amicable means and through the Chamber of Commerce. Our commitment to this partnership and the private investors from Tanzania, we encourage you to visit Kenya and invest through public-private partnership initiatives that the government of Kenya offers, and you've had numerous incentives that are offered by the government. I assure our Tanzanian counterparts that Kenya